welcome to Florida Live. I'm Hannah McKenzie. It is Friday. You have made it through the work week. Now, whether you're joining us on air via the Fox local app or our Fox 35 YouTube channel, we are so happy you're here with us. We do have a packed show for you today. Coming up today on Florida Live, a quiet hurricane season, at least so far. But now the National Hurricane Center is monitoring 2 zones, one of which could become our next named storm, Melissa. Next, charges drop for the man accused of abandoning his dog on the side of the interstate during Hurricane Milton. Trooper made national headlines after he was found tied to a fence along I-75 amid rising floodwaters. So why is the man who allegedly left him there being let off scot-free? And finally, wouldn't be Friday without some sports, right? The Orlando Magic are gearing up for a huge matchup for their season opener next week. But we are, of course, kicking things off with meteorologist Laurel Blanchard. So, Laurel, we are more than halfway through October, and things are starting to heat up in the tropics. What do we need to know about what's going to become Melissa?
Yeah, Hannah, really what we're watching right now is not 1, but 2 zones. But this one definitely is catching our eyes, and we will talk about that in just a moment. Next name on the list is Melissa. So let's kind of get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty of what we're watching in the tropics. So again, 2 yellow zones on the board. Means they're low, but once we head into probably this weekend, we should see those chances start to raise, especially for this system right here. So this is the wave that we are watching, this tropical wave that's continuing to make its way westward across the Atlantic. But once it kind of gets into the southern Caribbean, we're going to be watching a couple of things. Currently a 30% chance of seeing that development over the next 7 days. So ultimately, what does that mean? Right now, it's just an area of storms in the central Atlantic right over here. So it does have some traveling room to go where we could be seeing that gradual development possible. Right now, it's in an area of really high wind shear, which means that in different levels of the atmosphere, wind is going in 2 different directions. So we're slowly going to start to see that lower as it makes its way into the southern Caribbean. So right now, we're seeing the possibility of some gradual development over the next 7 days. But regardless, that little wave is going to be bringing a lot of rain and wind into the Leeward Islands as we head through the next couple of days. But where it goes is really anybody's guess, because right now models are sometimes bringing it even into Central America. Others kind of have it following up towards Imelda and even everywhere in between. So it's going to be kind of a wait and see kind of thing of when this becomes an invest, when the first spaghetti models are going to set to come out, where this system is set to track over the next couple of days. And the reason why we're watching this ever so carefully is because the ocean water is so warm right now. So taking a little bit of a closer look, within this black circle right here, we have had no hurricane or tropical storm activity so far this season. Hurricanes are kind of like Goldilocks, especially when it comes to tropical development. They don't like the water too warm, but they don't like it too cool either. So it needs to be within that just right zone in the mid to upper 80s where we could be seeing that prime chance of development. And that's right now where we are seeing that possibility of some sort of development. Even though it's a low chance right now, most likely it will start to grow as we head through the next couple of days. So something that we're going to be watching pretty carefully. That second zone that we are also watching is just this little cyclone that's kind of happening just off the coast of New England. It does have that rotation of what we're seeing right here and that circulation that's starting to occur. But the one thing that's going to be working against this storm in particular is, of course, the ocean water. Because as it makes its way northward, tapping into that cooler water, which is really going to be limiting that chance of seeing that development. So that's why it's only at a 10% chance of development over the next 7 days. So we're going to be watching that very carefully, as well as the rest of the tropics through the season. We had Lorenzo that fizzled out in the central Atlantic, and now all eyes are going to be on the possibility of Melissa coming up within the next couple of days, as well as Nestor, Olga, and Pablo coming up for the next couple of names on the list.
All right, Laurel, I know you're going to be tracking all of that for us, and we will definitely stay tuned to that. But I have to mention, it is Friday. How's our weekend weather looking?
Honestly, Friday, genuinely, because I feel like this week has been a long one. We deserve a nice weekend, and that's exactly what we're going to be seeing. For the majority of the weekend, it is going to be dry. Sunday, you may notice a little bit more of that cloud cover with the possibility of a very, very spot shower. But there's a lot of stuff happening this weekend, especially in Daytona Beach. Biketober is happening, so we are going to be seeing those temperatures feeling a little bit bit more like fall on Saturday. We have a cold front making its way down across the southeast. That's what's really going to be ramping up the weather, but it's also going to be bringing us in some much cooler air, making things feel like fall on Saturday. Sunday, we see those temperatures kind of amp up a little bit more, back up into the upper 80s, and again, maybe seeing a stray shower from some of that onshore flow. But overall, a beautiful weekend to spend outside. So Hannah, definitely make the most of it.
All right, Laurel, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Alrighty, as we had to break, we've got a live look over Daytona Beach from our Hard Rock Hotel camera. I'm sure a lot of people out there enjoying this fabulous weather on our Friday afternoon. Yeah, there's people out on the sand. Wish I was one of them. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Florida Live. It is time for our Tampa Connection. Joining us now is Fox 13 Tampa senior content producer Nancy Gay. Hey there, Nancy.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. We're so glad you're here with us on this Friday, especially because this first story, this is one folks are going to remember. Trooper the dog. This is the dog who stole hearts across the country after he was found tied to a fence post on the side of I-75 during Hurricane Milton. He's now living his best life with his new owners, but the man accused of abandoning him just had his charges dropped. Nancy, make it make sense for us.
Yeah, it is hard to understand because we all remember that video, the heartbreaking video of that dog hooked to the side, hooked to that fence. You can see him in the belly deep water as Hurricane Milton was approaching. Now, we were told the Hillsborough State Attorney's Office said that they did drop the charges against Trooper's original owner. His name is Giovanni Aldama Garcia. They said that those charges were dropped because they simply did not have enough proof to prove that that Aldama Garcia actually tied this dog. His name is Trooper now, but at the time his name was Jumbo. They did not have proof to show that Aldama Garcia is the one who actually tied him to a fence. And right now there's actually in question whether or not he was actually tied to the fence or if his dog collar got hooked to that fence. As you mentioned, this story drew national attention and evoked emotions from people across the country just seeing that heartbreaking video. And what also happened with Trooper the dog, he is the force behind Trooper's Law, which went into effect on October 1st. And what Trooper's Law does is that it makes that a similar case like this, if somebody is accused of abandoning an animal ahead of a natural disaster, they can be charged with a third-degree felony. Now, again, these charges were dropped against Trooper's original owner because they said they simply did not have enough proof to show that he was the one who tied that dog to the fence ahead of Hurricane Milton.
Well, I guess there's kind of a silver lining coming out of that story with Trooper's Law. That's the good news there. Okay, so our next story, a boat captain charged for illegally harvesting stone crabs. This is a bit of a strange one, Nancy.
Yeah, so this actually happened up in Pasco County, and it wasn't just the boat captain. The crew as well were charged with illegally harvesting these stone crabs. Now, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, they said that officers began investigating back in September. On September 26th, their officers noticed a continuous line of blue crab traps that was up near Gulf Harbor, and they got a little suspicious because of the timing. So stone crab season here in Florida begins on October 15th. So they thought it was very suspicious to see this long continuous line of blue crab traps weeks before stone crab season was about to begin. So on October 15th, these officers went back out to that same location and they saw the captain and crew of a boat pulling up those blue crab traps, and they confirmed that the people on the line were actually harvesting stone crabs inside of those traps. Now, these illegally harvested stone crabs, they were actually seized and sold to the highest bidder within the commercial stone crab industry. Now, as I mentioned, stone crab season, it began just 2 days ago on October 15th, and it runs through May 2nd.
Caught red-handed there. Wow. And I know FWC does not mess around. Those limits and seasons are in place for a reason. Okay, our last story, Nancy. Tampa police want to seize guns of a former Tampa City Council candidate.
Yes, this is involving Elvis Piggott. He's also a pastor here in the city of Tampa. Now, Piggott was accused of pulling out a gun during a candidate forum that was about a little over a week ago. Now, he was a former Tampa City Council member candidate, and at that forum, he is accused of pulling out a gun on one of the remaining candidates. Now, Piggott said this morning he did say that he turned in his guns. However, so the Tampa Police Department, they filed a risk protection order against him, and that's why he actually had to appear in court this morning. Now, that risk protection order is intended to temporarily remove guns from individuals who may harm themselves or harm others. Now, Piggott, the petition says that Piggott may actually be seriously mentally ill or may have recurring mental health issues. Now, after hearing this, Piggott took to social media to defend himself, and he posted a video that was over an hour long. And in that video, he said that he's not going to kill himself, and he's carried a gun for a very long time. He also said in that video that this risk protection order was just an attempt to try to silence him, and it was political assassination by Tampa's Mayor Jane Castor. He said that he plans to fight back and is soliciting funds for a legal battle with the city. Now, according to a police report, a security guard, the night of the forum where Piggott is accused of pulling out a gun, that security guard told police that he heard Piggott tell someone, "I'm going to bury you." However, in his social media post, Piggott clarified his statement and said that what he actually said was, "If you put your hands on me, your mama is going to have to bury you." Now, after the confrontation that occurred at that political forum, Piggott posted several videos to Facebook Live, which have since been deleted. In those videos, he did acknowledge that he pulled out a gun, but he claimed that it was in self-defense for himself as well as for his 2-year-old son. Witnesses, on the other hand, told investigators that nobody touched Piggott and he was the aggressor. Now, police said that they thoroughly investigated the incident before charging Piggott with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Those charges were filed on Tuesday, and I believe he turned himself into the Tampa Police Department on Tuesday afternoon. Now, if granted that risk protection order, Piggott could be barred from owning firearms for up to 1 year. Now, right now, he has been ordered to surrender those guns while the court reviews his case. Now, this morning, a judge confirmed that he did surrender those guns, and a hearing is set for next week to determine whether the risk protection order will remain in effect while the criminal case proceeds.
Nancy, sounds like a messy one. We're going to have to see how that one plays out. Nancy Gay joining us there. Thank you so much. Fox 13 Tampa senior content producer. Always happy to have you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, also coming from the Tampa Bay area, a 24-year-old could be the next mayor of Lakeland. Caitlin Gracie Kramer was born and raised in Lakeland. She is one of the youngest candidates ever to run, but it's not just her age that's drawing attention. Kramer is also a manager and a bartender at a Hooters. She says she's running for mayor to challenge the idea of what leadership can look like. Kramer owns her own home. She put herself through college. She has a bachelor's degree in biology. And her main areas of concern for the area include infrastructure. She's got flooding concerns, traffic issues, water quality. Let's meet her.
I'm an hourly manager at my job, but I am also a bartender. I work there Friday through Sunday. You can find me there every day after 4:30. It's something that I've enjoyed a lot and something that I think has pushed me to be the best version of myself. A lot of people see Hooters and they have some kind of odd stereotype in their head. Hooters has done so much for me. Hooters is the reason that I own my own home. I bought my house at 20 years old. Hooters is the reason that I own my car. Hooters is the reason that I could put myself through my education. I just got a bachelor's degree from USF in biology. And Hooters is putting in the work to try to be involved in the community. Right now, it's the month of October. We're doing breast cancer awareness fundraising. We have a bake sale that's going to go on from the 24th to the 26th. We're doing a bike show on the 26th. One of my managers actually pledged that if we raise $3,000 in the month of October, he's going to shave his head. We put in a lot of dedication into taking care of the people within our community and raising like strong, proud young women that'll go off and they'll get into business adventures. They'll become nurses, they'll become doctors, they'll become teachers, they'll become parts of our community that will make people proud.
Do you think, younger people will see you and will be inspired by your story? I mean, a homeowner at 20 years old, that's
hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
I hope that people feel inspired by this. I hope that, if anything, it encourages young people to see that they do have the opportunity to get involved in local politics. They have the ability to get involved in local government. They can have a seat at the table, and they should want to. It isn't always just about your age, it's about your drive. It's about your willingness to go out and to speak to people and to listen to your community and to care very deeply about the people around you.
What would be your reaction, or what is your reaction to people who, look at your age and say, oh, you're 24, you don't have a lot of real world experience or leadership experience? I know you just listed, your experience with Hooters, which is incredible. But what is your reaction to that?
I challenge you to see leadership as not just a job title. I challenge you to see leadership as somebody who cares very deeply about the community, who wants to put in the work, who wants to put in the drive, who wants to go out and listen to the general public every day. That's something that I do every single day. And I think that above anything, I will be a great example of somebody who can listen to what the real working class cares about.
How do you think the city of Lakeland is being run right now?
I think that Lakeland is one of the most beautiful places in the world, but I think that I want to make sure that I'm not the only person with that viewpoint. I want to make sure that everybody feels like Lakeland is the most beautiful place in the world. Our public transit system, Citrus Connections, is putting in a lot of work to make free public transportation downtown, and we're actually expanding that out into Dixieland. I'm very proud of that. I think that that is one of the best things that our community is doing right now. We just want to make sure that Lakeland is beautiful for everyone. We want to make sure that everybody feels welcome here and everybody has a home here. I definitely want to work towards making sure that everybody feels like they're comfortable and they are represented at the table. We do have a lot of people, specifically people within lower economic status, people that are minorities, and people that are LGBTQ that don't feel like they have a say, not even just within local government, within more of a broad spectrum way. I want to make sure that those people feel comfortable in our community. I want to make sure that they aren't worried about where their next meal is coming from. I want to make sure that they aren't worried about their public safety. That is major to me. They need to have a place, have a home somewhere, and this can be that for everyone, not even just that. I want it to be a happy place for business owners. I want it to be a happy place for nurses, for doctors, for teachers, people that don't feel like they always have a say, people that don't always feel like they can be in control of all their situations. You are in control of this. You are in control of the city that is within you, and I want to be a voice for those people.
Can you tell me about the event that you have a rally tomorrow? Can you talk to me about that?
Hooters built me, and I love Hooters. We're hosting a rally tomorrow. We have a live band coming. They're called Between Jobs. I'm really excited about that. They're gonna come, they're gonna play a couple of songs. They're gonna, we picked a couple, and then they're gonna play a couple from their new album. So we're helping support local artists, as well as just bringing everybody together so that we can have like an uplifting event that'll show everybody like, hey, this is the kind of community that we're building. This is the kind of excitement that we're looking forward to.
Election Day is November 4th. All right, we're heading to a break, but here's a live look from Florida's Space Coast from our Credit Launch Union camera. You're watching Florida Live. We'll be right back. A beautiful live look over downtown Orlando this Friday afternoon. Tomorrow, large crowds are expected to gather downtown, specifically outside City Hall for the No Kings Day protest. The anti-Trump protest is being held at the same time as the Come Out with Pride Parade and Festival, which is happening at Lake Eola. Welcome back to Florida Live. I'm Hannah McKenzie. Earlier today, Florida Congressman Jimmy Patronis addressed the No Kings Day protests happening across the state this weekend. Patronis recommended people avoid high-risk areas and advised not to engage with protesters looking to create chaos. Patronis and other Republicans are referring to these protests as Hate America rallies. Here are some of what else he had to say.
As we go into this weekend, I'd like to give an urgent message to all Floridians who may be traveling this weekend to avoid D.C. during the so-called No Kings Parade. Despite the name, this parade is shaping up to be a gathering of anti-American elements. And look, I'm just going to call it what it is. I personally think it's just a Hate America parade. More often than not, far left gatherings like this have included the participation of the likes of Antifa, pro-Hamas groups, and other extremist factions. What's even more alarming, this comes during a shutdown when the federal government and federal law enforcement, public safety resources already stretched them. And this is all thanks to the Senate Democrats. Chuck Schumer has made a point to fight for illegals, blocking funding for police and federal security agencies, leaving D.C. less secure. This is deeply irresponsible and dangerous. This parade doesn't celebrate freedom. It threatens public safety. It undermines law and order. It showcases how far some have strayed from American values. So here's my advice. If I were you, I'd just sit on the couch and watch college football this weekend. But some will get out and about. I'm just going to tell you, I'd avoid D.C. Between the Schumer shutdown and the risk of political violence, it's simply not worth it. Know the risk. These are not grassroots demonstrations. These likely include paid agitators whose only goal is to create chaos and headlines. So just don't get caught in the crossfire. Stay informed, follow law enforcement's updates closely, and plan accordingly if you're planning to be in D.C. or live around that area. Pray for our country. As families feel the pain of the shutdown and law enforcement remains stretched thin, take a moment to pray for the well-being and also pray that the Democrats will come to their senses and open government. Despite Washington's dysfunction, I'll keep standing up for the people of Northwest Florida, our values, and our security.
And on the other side of the argument, joining us live now via Zoom is Anna Escamani, Democratic State Representative and Orlando mayoral candidate. Hey there, Representative Escamani, so glad you're here with us.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's great to be here.
Of course. So do you plan to be there tomorrow at the No Kings Day protest?
In Orlando, I do plan to stop by. Yes, it's a packed day in the district. We also have Orlando Come Out with Pride tomorrow as well, and a few other speaking engagements peppered throughout the day. But I think it's really important to show our unified solidarity for a stronger country, for one that prioritizes the needs of everyday people over those of billionaires. And we'll be celebrating just what makes our country so beautiful and unique, and that is our diversity and our shared commitment to one another. So I'm looking forward to it.
And we just aired Patronis' statement there, kind of a warning. You know, what are your feelings on that? He used some pretty powerful words. He said, you know, avoid the crosshairs.
Yeah, nothing but respect for my former CFO, now a congressman in the Panhandle, Jimmy Patronis. We've worked together on projects in the past. I think it's important to avoid elevated rhetoric right now. The environment has been super polarized, and I have been really fortunate to meet Democrats and Republicans alike who are frustrated by what's happening at the national level. They don't see their costs going down. The struggles of operating a small business or paying rent on time are universal. They're not shared. They're not separated by political lines. They're shared by all of us. And so the protests overwhelmingly across the country over the summer under the banner of No Kings Day were very, very peaceful. I have no doubt it will be the same tomorrow as well.
We were just looking at some video from the No Kings Day protest back in June. I know you joined us to talk about that. You were also there. What did you experience? You said things stayed pretty calm in your eyes.
Overwhelmingly so, yes. And I think really it's just about meeting like-minded people who want to make their communities better. You know, I think it's incredibly patriotic to look at your own backyard and say, we can and should do better. You know, we're the greatest country in the world, the richest country in the world, and yet we still have folks who are homeless, who don't have a place to live, who sleep under I-4. We have families who can't afford childcare. We have folks who are deciding not to start families because they can't afford childcare. We have folks who are struggling to find a new job in this market, who want to go back to school but can't afford it. You know, there's just so many everyday challenges with the cost of healthcare in this country, and that's one reason why Democrats in Congress have been holding the line on the Trump administration's agenda, because we have 4.7 million Floridians right now who receive healthcare coverage through healthcare.gov, the Affordable Care Act program, and they're at risk of losing the ability to afford healthcare. They're going to lose their tax credits, their subsidies under the current budget bill. And this is going to be disastrous for Floridians. And whether you're the 4.7 million who rely on the Affordable Care Act or the 4.3 million who are on Medicaid, you know, the changes coming out of the federal government on these domestic issues, on these very basic fundamental needs like healthcare are bad. And Democrats are taking a stand on that. And candidly, I think one reason why Democrats have flailed in Florida is that we're not brave enough, we're not strong enough, we're seen as weak. And here's a moment where Democrats are really standing united in Congress, and I appreciate them for doing that. But I also, of course, know how important it is to get this government up and running again, because we have service members who aren't getting their paychecks. We have federal workers getting furloughed. It's a difficult situation for everyone, but the cost of losing these subsidies for everyday Americans is so huge that it's a very important fight to have.
You know, stakes are high, emotions are high. You know, these No Kings Day protests, not just happening here in Orlando, statewide, nationwide, whether it's D.C., you know, any of the areas. I feel like a lot of the organizers share the same sentiments you do, in the fact that they're hoping that everything stays calm. Several of them trying to avoid the, you know, violent anti-government and Antifa look that we have seen, you know, with the black ski masks. They're advising folks to wear costumes, not in favor of Halloween, but just to kind of avoid that, you know, stereotype.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the inflatables going around. I've no doubt, you know, folks are going to express some joy tomorrow and have fun with it. But I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, there's been an elevated political climate around us, which has really deterred people from wanting to get more civically involved. And that's dangerous. You know, this country is founded on the First Amendment, the ability to speak your mind, to speak your truth, and also to engage in civil dialogue and debate. And I feel like, especially with social media, we've just gone so far away from that. I can tell you, if you look at my Facebook page, it's a very frustrating experience for everyone, because if I say anything, I can say the sky is blue. I have folks accusing me of lying. You know, it's just all over the place, and it deteriorates the health of our democracy when we can't have logical, thoughtful conversations with one another. And I do think the efforts of those who are hosting these rallies across the country, it's to really embrace that dialogue, to embrace the debate, because we are better when we work together, when we talk to each other, when we are able to spar on our ideas, but not on personalities, not on people. And I just continue to practice that in what I do every single day, especially working in the legislature. You know, I'm a Democrat in a supermajority Republican legislature, and I'm still able to bring money back to the district, to work with my colleagues across the aisle. So I do think it's important to have our non-negotiables, like healthcare, for example, but to also look for opportunities of partnership, because at the end of the day, we're not going to solve some of the most difficult challenges our communities face, from housing affordability to property insurance to transportation to healthcare access, environmental protection, public education, unless we're trying to find ways to do so in a politically diverse environment.
A lot of people just walking on eggshells, you know, with all of this going on, very politically chaotic right now. Representative Anna Eskamani joining us there. Thank you so much for being here with us on Florida Live.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're heading to a quick break. Here is a live look over downtown Orlando, where that No Kings Day protest and the Pride Parade will be happening tomorrow. It will be busy down there in downtown O-Town, that is for sure. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Florida Live. I'm Hannah McKenzie. Fox 35 investigates drinking water dangers. The city of Mount Dora is home to an extremely unique water feature called the Wolf Branch Sink. It has a direct path to the aquifer, like an immediate drain straight into our drinking water system. Right next to it, though, is a landfill that officials in Lake County fear could pollute the water without proper precautions. Fox 35's Marie Edinger is digging into things.
Where I'm standing right now is a nature preserve managed by the Lake County Water Authority. Let's take 3 steps this way. Now I'm at a landfill. The United States Geological Survey, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Lake County Water Authority, and a private environmental engineer all told me water from the Wolf Branch Sink drains straight into the aquifer. Lake County Commission Chair Leslie Campione took me to the county-run lake called Wolf Branch Sink and to see the neighboring private landfill for myself.
Common sense tells you this really should not be going on here.
The city of Mount Dora's Public Works had a consultant test the water at Wolf Branch Sink and found 2 notable chemicals. The levels of acetone were double the amount the EPA considers acceptable, and butanone, also called MEK, that's a volatile solvent found in gasoline, also exceeded levels the EPA considers acceptable. You can see the waterfall right behind me. That water drains out this way, coming through until it reaches the point where you can see over there, the water starts to look still. That's the point where it's draining down into the aquifer. That means the Floridan Aquifer, the main source of drinking water for 10 million people, according to the USGS, is especially susceptible to contamination in this exact spot. Based on the landfill's own findings, we know some degree of contamination is happening. It's just a matter of whether any of it is getting into the aquifer.
So this is a problem, and it's got to be stopped.
Mid-Florida Materials, the company that owns the landfill, had a consultant conduct groundwater tests by the sink. They found benzene and methane in amounts exceeding the primary drinking water standard set by the FDA. The EPA has no set amount of methane in drinking water it considers acceptable. So where is that coming from? Mid-Florida's hired engineers concluded, quote, landfill gas is likely impacting the well. And that's the water the county fears could seep into the sink and then the aquifer. This issue came to the attention of Justin Elkins, the associate director of the Lake County Water Authority, which maintains water quality and conservation, and Bobby Bonilla, the executive director of Lake County Parks and Water Resources. They both noticed what Elkins says are clear signs of flooding by the landfill, an eroded berm and damaged silt fence. They worried that could send water streaming from the landfill to Wolf Sink.
We located this area here along this berm, and we found that there was possible seepage of surface water to groundwater. At that point, we elevated that notice to the state.
That's when Commissioner Campione got involved. She wrote to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, which oversees the landfill, asking them to revoke Mid-Florida's license. And she wrote to Hubbard Construction, the company that owns Mid-Florida Materials, saying, quote, ceasing operations at this location immediately is the right thing to do.
They didn't seem to be concerned, and that's when we started to think, if they're not concerned about that, then we better start taking a look at how this has been reviewed throughout this process.
Commissioner Campione wants to do more thorough testing to see if the aquifer is impacted, but the landfill and FDEP are not playing ball. So she asked an environmental engineer who the county was already contracting with to come out and take a look.
What they have done could not be worse.
Turns out he's been studying the Wolf Branch Creek for years, and he suspects contaminants could have been present as early as 2011. But the thing is, research into the risk isn't actually new information. The U.S. Geological Survey spent 4 years looking into the Wolf Branch Sink, from 1991 to 1995, before the landfill was built. Those scientists concluded in 1996, quote, a contaminant spill in the basin could pose a direct threat to the aquifer. Despite warnings about the risk, the FDEP allowed development anyway. In 2019, the FDEP issued a permit allowing the landfill to expand.
I feel like we have such a responsibility to see this through, and I'm not going to quit.
To be clear, no one in this story is accusing Mid-Florida Materials or Hubbard of malfeasance here. The people I interviewed think they really just didn't know about the proximity to the sink and the risks that could come with it. But as I mentioned earlier, Chairman Campione wants the entire landfill shut down, and she wants remediation action to protect the aquifer. Devo disagrees. He just thinks the landfill should be moved further back.
I work for developers. I'm not an environmental fanatic or a freak, but I know pragmatic boundaries. I know lines we are not supposed to cross.
Fox 35 took all of these questions and concerns straight to Mid-Florida Materials and Hubbard Construction. We called and emailed each company. As of the time of this report, neither company has responded. The FDEP has said since February it's working on getting me an answer. As of right now, they still have not. As things stand now, the landfill is still set to grow. In Lake County, Marie Ettinger, Fox 35 News.
And we are looking at a live look at the Kia Center now. This is where the Orlando Magic will host the Miami Heat Wednesday for their season opener. We spoke with independent sports reporter Sean Green about the Magic's undefeated preseason, their biggest X factor, and what we'll need to see for them to break 50 wins this season. Take a listen.
I mean, I think you could take a couple grains. I just wouldn't take a whole bag. It's definitely something that you can look at and say and see the changes in this team. I think one of the big things is the changes in the offense. The Magic have always preached pace, space in the past, and pace is there. The Magic are upping their pace on offense, and that's definitely something that's noticeable. They're scoring a lot more points. They're getting the ball down the court. But yes, to that point, it is preseason, and it is still good to go 4-0 in the preseason to really go into the regular season on a high. But at the same time, you're not playing your starters a normal amount of minutes. It's kind of just getting a bunch of guys some extra reps, extra time. So you take a grain of salt, but it also is a positive thing.
And then we talk about the Magic's really the biggest acquisition this offseason, Desmond Bane. Still putting shots up, but didn't make a three last night against New Orleans. I mean, what can we take of Desmond Bane, and how long could it take for him to get used to his role in this offense?
Yeah, listen, I think fans are just expecting everything to work perfectly, and I think Desmond Bane coming here, we've all said, is going to help this team and really elevate them to the next level. But with any new player coming in and being that vital of a role, it's going to take some time. I mean, at the end of the day, the two main guys on this roster are Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Desmond Bane doesn't change that. Desmond Bane comes in and is going to be that third option offensively that will really help this team. But I think he needs to figure out just where he fits in offensively. When he was at Memphis last year, they changed the offense for him, or they changed the offense in general. They changed everything. And it took him about a month to really find his role and fit into where he knew he was going to succeed. So I think with this, it was good that he got a lot of play in the preseason, but I would expect it take a couple weeks to a month maybe for him to be the Desmond Bane offensively that we know. But he still makes an impact. Even though he's not making shots, he's able to drive to the rim, kick out. It's not Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He does so many good things when he isn't scoring the three ball. So that's going to be helpful for the Magic regardless. Jalen Suggs, I've been very vocal, and a lot of Magic fans are very vocal that Jalen Suggs is the heart and soul of this team. When Jalen Suggs is out on the floor, not just offensively, defensively is where he shines. He kind of brings a dog mentality to the Orlando Magic. And when he's not out there, you feel it. You do feel it, and that's what we said when he got injured last season. You know, Paolo was injured, Franz got injured, but when they were both back and Jalen Suggs was out, you could just tell that there was a void. So I think offensively, it's going to help just because Tyus Jones has been playing, and there's nothing wrong with Tyus Jones. I think coming off the bench, Tyus Jones is going to be a massive help. But I think Jalen Suggs needs to be the starting point guard for this team. I think that's also going to help Desmond Bane, right? I think having a shooter like Jalen Suggs, and Tyus Jones can shoot, but having a shooter and a defender like Jalen Suggs is going to open it more up for Desmond Bane. So the expectation is that he plays opening night next Wednesday, but we will see. But I think a lot of Magic fans, and I'm sure the Magic in general, are thrilled and excited to get him back on the floor.
And so if you're a fan walking into the Kia Center on Wednesday for this season opener, What is a successful night for the Magic?
Very simple. You go 1-0. I think at the end of the day, a lot of NBA pundits and a lot of NBA fans are picking the Magic to win over 50 games, which would be the first time in a very, very long time that the Magic went over 50 games. At the end of the day, it's a process, right? You're starting the season in October. This thing's going to go to April. I think Magic fans might get a little antsy if things aren't working very well, especially if opening night they see if Desmond Bane is struggling or if Paolo's struggling or Franz is struggling. There's going to be we need to hit the panic button. I think it's a long season. There's a reason that people are picking this team to make it pretty far and to win over 50 games. I think it's just I would err on the side of caution, be patient. But I think the best success that you can have on Wednesday is just beating the Miami Heat in your opening night.
Is it a realistic expectation for the Magic to make a leap to be a 50-game winning team?
Absolutely. I mean, I've never seen this much positivity around the Orlando Magic probably since 2010. And that's just being frank. The Magic made these moves to go to an NBA Finals. I know that's crazy to say, given they've been first-round exits in the last couple of years. But when you make the moves that you make, you are telling the NBA, and we've talked about this, you're telling the NBA you're going all in. You are trying to win an NBA championship. They don't have a cap space to work with. It's all taken up. They're in the first apron. So with the moves they made, 50 wins is 100% doable. And I would contend that more than 50 wins, probably like 52, 53 wins is probably where the Magic would want and could get to, maybe more than that. But at the end of the day, it's going to be how quickly can they come together and how easy is it for them to win some of these games. I think the Magic have so much talent and they're so good on defense that if they can score at the clip they were scoring at in preseason, it's going to be hard to not say that this team wins 50 games.
And now that we've seen a little bit of this Magic team on the floor, obviously everything starts and ends with Paolo and Franz. Who is the third guy that really needs to be there for the Magic to make a finals run? Is it Desmond Bane? Is it Jalen Suggs? I mean, is it Jamal Mosley kind of figuring out how to mix and match everything? What is it to you?
You bring up an interesting point about Jamal Mosley. I think that is going to be the key, is rotationally. In the preseason, he didn't show it as much. But you definitely, I've always been under the impression that you need to have one of the four, Paolo, Franz, Desmond Bane, Jalen Suggs, in any lineup. So even when your starters go to the bench, you need at least one of those guys in with your backups or your bench players. So that is a good point. I would say, though, if you're going in order of importance on just the players, it would be Paolo, Franz, Desmond Bane, Jalen Suggs. But Desmond Bane has to be the player that the Orlando Magic got him for. That third scorer that can come in, knock down a bunch of shots, maybe average like 18 a game to 20 a game. It'll be tough. And then I think the maybe guy that everybody wants to see if he can make a really true leap is Wendell Carter Jr. Everybody's talking about he just looks different. I think if Wendell Carter Jr. plays like a top 15 center, then again, I truly don't see the Magic losing many games this season. And I think when you get to the playoff time, if your starting five is the starting five that they've had this season, I think the Magic are going to be in a really good spot.
Shaping up to be an exciting season to watch. And you're watching Florida Live. We are heading to a quick break. Hope you're enjoying your Friday afternoon. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Florida Live. I'm Hannah McKenzie. Thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon. We're live on Fox Local, YouTube, and Fox 35 TV. It is time for our 407 Friday with Fox 35's Marlisa Goldsmith. Marlisa, we don't actually have a 407 today.
Not today.
But we couldn't resist to have you on anyways,
well,
just to talk about some fun little trending stories we've got going on.
Yes, it's always a good time with you.
Okay, so first up, this one's a little bit controversial. I don't even know what we're going to show for video, to be honest with you. Kim Kardashian's undies are making headlines. We're showing you the full thing. The founder of Skims just launched this controversial new line. The undies have synthetic hair on the front. They come in a variety of colors and lengths. Marlisa, what says you?
Okay, so I will say there is a market out there for this.
Apparently.
There are. There are people who are into this. And honestly, anything with the Kardashian name or Jenner name attached to it, you know it's going to be a hit.
They're already sold out.
That's crazy.
Already sold out. There's a waiting list for these underwear, and they're $32 a pair. For one, $32 for one pair.
I believe it.
I will say Kim Kardashian, like you said, whatever she puts her name on, I mean, sells like hotcakes.
Yeah.
There's a reason she's a billionaire. I mean, marketing genius.
I just want to know, are people buying it because they're like, I think I would like these, or is it, I'm curious?
I think the people who initially actually scored a pair before having to do like the wait list are thinking, I'm going to sell these for double, triple, quadruple.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you know, there's also a market for people buying used underwear too.
Oh no, Marlisa.
I know, it gets nastier and nastier, but it's true.
Oh, I guess you've got both sides of this one then. Maybe that's Kim's next line. She'll just start selling straight there. This also follows a controversial bra that she started a couple years back. And I can't say too much on the details of that, but it didn't leave much to the imagination, if I can put it that way.
Yeah. And did I ever see video of her mom rocking the bra, or was it just Kim?
I think they all. I mean, billboards, hello, yes, they want to get their products out there, selling it the best way they can.
I will say, as odd as some of their business ideas are, they are geniuses when it comes to brand, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to the product. So I can't hate them in that sense.
And look, they've got us talking about it, right?
I know. I wish I came up with the idea first.
Love it or hate it, people are going to buy it, they're going to talk about it, and it's just driving up the want for people to get their hands on these hairy undies. All right, next up, the phrase 6'7". It's flying out of every Gen Z's mouth right now. Teachers, they've had enough. Marlisa, do you know about the phrase? Do you know how it's defined?
So I know a little bit of it because we talked about it on the 407 this week, and I was talking with Jim Colbert. And he's like, I don't understand what it is. I feel like when we were younger, some of the phrases adults didn't quite understand. And now I'm like, am I old?
Yes. We are. We've increased, and we are at that level now.
No, I don't want to believe it, but I just don't get this when everyone says, well, it doesn't really have a meaning to it, so why are we saying it?
Right, it's just a filler word. So according to Merriam-Webster, the dictionary people, they say it is a nonsensical expression used especially by teens and tweens. It's connected to a rap song and also a 6'7" tall basketball player. So it doesn't even mean cool or whatever or not cool. It's literally just a word they like to say or a phrase they like to say, and it goes along with a hand motion. So they're like 6'7", 6'7". They do it all the time.
My question is, all the people saying 6'7", can you tell me how much change you get back when you go to the grocery store?
No, they can't.
That's the problem.
And the teachers, Marlisa, they're upset about it because, I mean, it's running rampant in the high schools, the middle schools, even the elementaries. Teachers are taking a stance. They're going to TikTok. They're telling their frustrations of all these students who, I mean, they all bust out laughing when they're like, the teachers are like, I don't even want to say turn to page 67.
Exactly.
Because chaos breaks out in the classroom. So they have started like docking points from grades. And they're like, you know what, next time you say it, I'm taking 67 points off your final score. Or write me a 67-word essay talking about the history of 6'7".
Well, hopefully that'll teach them.
Maybe so. I hope so. Alrighty, so next up, it's pumpkin spice latte season. PSL, we all know it. Influencers, though, they are taking this one step further. They're bringing their own pumpkins to Starbucks. BYOP, Marlisa.
No.
They're having the baristas fill them up put a little whip topping, stick the straw in there. You've got the side order for the label and everything. Plus, they're getting a discount for bringing their own container.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. See, I would like to pull up the specifications for Starbucks to see if it says like it must be a cup or you could just bring any kind of container.
They might have to change their rules now because this is the container folks are bringing. I will say, if I was waiting in the line and I was waiting behind someone who was getting one of these and it was just taking so long because everyone was taking photos and stuff, I could see how that gets very annoying.
Now, here's my question. What size is that? Do you still have to give the size grande, venti, or is it just fill it up until it's...
It depends on the pumpkin you bring. If you got a little pumpkin, it's a tall. You got a bigger one, it's a venti.
Oh boy, it sounds like Starbucks is going to be out of a plan here, business plan.
I don't know. Love it or hate it, we're still talking about it. That does it for us here. We are so glad you joined us. Thank you guys for watching Florida Live.
Doing good on this Friday afternoon. Hello, hello, hello. Hope everybody is doing nice today. We have lots to talk about, including the potential for tropical storm and Hurricane Melissa. It's great to see you. We're on Fox Local, YouTube, and Facebook out there for today, and we've got much to discuss, so let's get into it. First, let me show you the live camera outside. And it's a really nice day out. In fact, there's not much to talk about. If you look here on the live radar, there's nothing to track. It's all nice and cleared out there. There's really nothing to look at. It's a really, really nice afternoon and evening. All right, on the southeast visible satellite, it is interesting to note. You can see these little puffy fair weather clouds that are moving by in this northeast to southwest flow. And that'll continue through the night. Notice right on the beaches there's no clouds, a little more stable air. But we'll see these clouds through the evening, no real showers. Tomorrow the winds will come more from the east, and that should have a little bit less in the way of cloud coverage for your Saturday. And because of that, it'll get notably warmer out there for tomorrow. All right, so let's talk about the tropics, because we do have an area to watch that is potentially going to be Melissa. So let me know where you're watching from on Facebook, YouTube, Fox Local. We've got a really nice weekend ahead of us. I'll pull this up for you, and while I'm pulling up the tropics, I'll show you the weekend weather, which is looking really nice. So let's walk you through the weekend here quickly. In fact, I'll just pull up the 7-day and let you take a look at that, because it's going to be really nice here. Let me just pull this up, take this full so you can see it. There's the 7-day. Really nice. This is going to load here in a second. Sorry, the system's being really slow today. Not really sure why. Here is the 7-day. Really nice for the weekend. I think most places are dry. The only change for next week is it's going to get much warmer. And next week we'll definitely be feeling a little bit more like maybe September rather than October out there for Tuesday and Wednesday. All right, so let's get into the tropics, because that's going to be the big story here for the weekend, is what's going to happen with this tropical wave. So let me just show you the big view first, because we do have multiple areas actually that are outlined in the tropics. So there's 3 zones to watch. You see all 3 are yellow right here. And there's the blobs. This one is not going to do anything. This one probably will become something, and this one we're not sure of as of right now, but the one in the East Pacific is not going to impact us. So the probabilities of these right now, this up here is 10% chance, blob up here. This one is 30% into the Caribbean, and then the one in the East Pacific we're not going to really talk about. So good news is that this is not an impact to anybody. It's a remnant nor'easter that's going to swirl away like that into the weekend. But we've got the tropical wave here drifting into the Caribbean, and the question is going to be, where on earth does this thing go? Which, to be completely frank, not a person knows. I mean, this is probably as tricky of a forecast as I remember for quite a while.